Okay, I've been talking for months now about how Democrats need a platform, ideally a progressive one. We can't wait around for Trump Russia to take Trump or the Republicans down. We can't wait around to just say, hey, we're the anti-Trump party or candidates. It's too unpredictable. The I'm not the other guy idea, motif, has never really worked too well in American politics. So my advice was progressives within the Democratic Party need to pick three main topics. Healthcare should be number one. Some amount of healthcare for all, right? Doesn't necessarily mean single payer, but maybe you start with that or a public option and negotiate to a public option. That was number one. Number two, we've got to make a case about the climate and about the environment. That is not a science-based case because we know that the deniers don't care about the science. It has to be a case made along patriotic, national security, and nationalistic lines to try to appeal to moderates and those on the right. And number three, we need some kind of cohesive approach to this amalgam of other issues, which are everything from immigration to race relations and internal problems, okay? Those were my sort of three suggestions. And now, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Democrat from Massachusetts, says that Democrats in 2018 and 2020 should campaign on a national single-payer health care plan. Hello, we had a guy in 2016 who believed in that. His name was Bernie Sanders. And Senator Elizabeth Warren opted not to get involved in the Democratic primary, instead supporting the eventual winner, Hillary Clinton. Cenk Uygur recently asked Elizabeth Warren, why didn't you support? It seems like you're close to Bernie Sanders' politics. Why didn't you support Bernie Sanders during the primary? And she gave some bizarre, unintelligible answer, which we played for you last week or the week before. And now she says, hey, here's an idea. Democrats should run on single-payer health care for the next two election cycles. Here's what she said to the Wall Street Journal a couple of days ago. Quote, President Obama tried to move us forward with health care coverage by using a conservative model that came from one of the conservative think tanks that had been advanced by a Republican governor in Massachusetts. Spot on so far, Elizabeth Warren. Now it's time for the next step, and the next step is single payer. Obviously, she's right. But where was she last year? Bernie Sanders was that guy, and she sat out the primary and didn't explain why to Cenk Uygur. I like Elizabeth Warren. We've had her in our studio. I voted for her in Massachusetts. I agree with the undeniable fact that she's one of the most progressive senators in the Senate at this point. When she's wrong, I've got to call her out. You've got to be kidding me here, Pat. There was an opportunity for her to make that point known in 2016 during the primary.
In her defense, at the time, just about everyone thought that Hillary Clinton was going to be the Democratic nominee. And maybe Elizabeth Warren thought that had Hillary Clinton assumed the presidency, she would have had a greater role in her administration, perhaps been able to argue for things like universal health care at that point.
It's a defense, but it's one that supports basically crony politics as usual. So while what Pat's saying is probably true,
right,
but it's not a defense of the underlying morality of the decision that she made. It's sort of a defense of the practicality. And speaking of practicality, yeah, you're not going to get single payer with a Republican House, a Republican Senate, and a Republican White House. There's no doubt. But stake a line in the sand and negotiate from that. And there is a case to be made. Hindsight bias is significant. There's a case to be made. Obama started with maybe a public option and negotiated to a center-right think tank policy from the 1990s. Maybe if Obama had started with single payer, he would have ended up negotiating to a public option.
Sure. And I think the time to argue for single payer is now. It's not after the Republicans are able to pass their abortive health care plan and so many people lose coverage.
No doubt.
People have to realize that there is an alternative to the ACA, and the best one is on the left side.
Oh, this is a particularly good time because of the disaster after disaster that Republicans are proposing with these American Health Care Act versions. This is not controversial in most of the developed OECD countries. Some people will hear us talking about this, Pat, and they'll say, oh my God, you socialists, government takeover, blah, blah, blah. Countries that are not socialist countries, that are our level of development, have decided, hey, we're going to nationalize healthcare because it's cheaper and it works better. And by the way, don't just campaign on it. I say, start actually trying to move it forward, whether it's H.R. 676, which is known as the United States National Health Care Act, or also known as the Expanded and Improved Medicare for All Act. It's out there, which would establish a single payer system, period. Don't just campaign on it. start working on this issue. So, hey, Elizabeth Warren, you're right. Where were you 9 months ago? That's my question. Today's sponsor is Tagadab, the hosting specialist. Whatever your hosting needs for your business or project, Tagadab can do it. Dedicated servers, virtual private servers, cloud server solutions, co-location, custom server solutions. And the big thing at Tagadab is their customer support. Over 70% of their business comes from repeat orders and recommendations from existing customers. This is a testament to the great support that they give their customers, currently rated a 9.7 out of 10, according to the Trustpilot review system. With a growing number of people interested in moving their businesses and projects to the cloud, Tagadab currently offers our viewers and listeners a 20 British pound free credit, about 24 US dollars, to all new customers that sign up. Gives you a chance to try the service. This is a limited availability offer for the viewers and listeners of the David Pakman Show. To take advantage, go to signup.tagadab.com/TDPS and use the offer code TDPS20 during account registration. Support our sponsors and support our show in doing so. Signup.tagadab.com/TDPS. Coupon code is TDPS20.